welcome to the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast with Emily Wardrop. I'm your host, Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching, where we help moms of littles drop the power struggle war to create more peace in their parenting. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get started. Hey, hello, my friends. Guess what? It is November, and did you know that November is Diabetes Awareness Month? So let's talk about diabetes and spread some awareness. There are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. I have two daughters who have been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and when the first one was diagnosed, I knew nothing basically about type 1. I had heard that there's a type 1 and a type 2, but mostly what I associated with diabetes is that you eat too much sugar. Okay. And I was like, what the heck? My little, how old was she? 3 or 4 or something year old is the kid with the least likelihood of developing diabetes, because she's the one that like eats the most vegetables and doesn't have that big of a sweet tooth. And I was like, of all my kids, why is it her? Was one of my thoughts. So many thoughts that were erroneous because I didn't know anything about type 1. So it turns out you don't get type 1 diabetes from eating too much sugar. We're spreading awareness about diabetes. That is number one. You do not get type 1 diabetes from eating too much sugar. You are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes after, hold on a sec, sorry. Oh, hey, I can hit pause just. Okay, so the difference between type 1 and type 2 at a very basic level, sorry, to not cough enough on that pause. Okay, your pancreas is just full on kaput in type 1 diabetes. So something attacks the pancreas, something meaning some sort of illness, right? A bacteria, a virus, right? And there's been a wild virus running around the world the past couple of years. And so there's been a huge rise in type 1 diabetes. May or may not be correlated, but there's speculation. So basically, a lot of times a kid will get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes after they were sick, because that whatever flu bug or cold, virus, anything can attack that pancreas and it just stops producing insulin. So then they need to be given shots, injections of some sort, to get insulin into their body every single time they eat any sort of carbohydrate. Something that your pancreas just does automatically. Nothing like diabetes to make you appreciate the workings of your body, because you have a random organ in your body that you don't hear that much about called the pancreas. We hear more about it nowadays, but I know when I was in school, I learned about heart and lungs and bladders and uteruses and all the things, bones and muscles, but spleen even over pancreas. So I can kind of picture what it looks like. Maybe I'm confusing it with the liver. I don't know. One of those organs in there, right? So there's been a lot of understanding what the pancreas does as of late, especially in our household. So anyway, type 2, you have little beta cells in your pancreas that produce insulin, and they get worn out from working overtime, which is where the misnomer about eating too much sugar. So if you have had a high sugar, high carb diet your whole life, your beta cells might be getting tired, as they say, and you can control it with lifestyle, exercise, eating less carbs, less processed sugar, things like that, to help your pancreas out to produce more beta cells that produce the insulin, or I guess, produce more beta cells probably. But anyway, clearly I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom trying to figure this out for my own kids, right? But the point is that that's the difference, right? Is that you can help your body out in producing insulin when it's type 2. When it's type 1, your pancreas is full on done producing insulin for the remainder of your days. So this is not a diagnosis that you get that's like, oh, sorry, your kid is sick. Here's some medicine, get some rest, drink lots of fluids, he'll be over it in 10 days or whatever the length of the virus running through your body is, you know. It's like, okay, your organ is just done doing its job, and you need to be an artificial pancreas for the rest of your life. So my first daughter was diagnosed in the heat of COVID. My son was doing virtual first grade. He's like on Zoom for first grade. So we get back from the hospital and I'm trying to get him back on Zoom, which he never wanted to do. And it was a huge power struggle in the first place, and all sorts of coaching tools were, being utilized all day, every day, trying to get him to trying to keep myself chill while he did not want to do Zoom. Anyway, I came back from the hospital and thought that I was going to be a pancreas and a first grader, and that was a little much. So luckily he had a great teacher that was like, oh, okay, what can I do? How can I help? And no, you don't have to go on Zoom if you don't need to. Here's all the things, just help him do the stuff. Anyway, tangent about being a pancreas that I used to like to say. I cannot be a pancreas and a first grader. And the diabetic wasn't even the first grader. She was only, oh my goodness, I really need to get the story straight. How old was she at diagnosis? I don't remember. She's 5 now. It's been 2 years, right? So I guess she was 3. That is wild. Maybe she was 4. I don't know. Okay, point is, very little. Not in school yet, but her brother was. Okay, so diabetes awareness. That's what we're talking about today. Okay, so basically, pancreas is kaput, right? So you need to get insulin into the body. And the current medical procedure for getting insulin, which thank goodness that we live in a day and age where there is insulin available. Thank you, doctors and scientists, for developing this. But so far, the way that we do it is with shots. Do your kids freak out when you go and get a shot every now and then at the doctor? Imagine they need a shot every single time they're about to eat something, basically, unless it's bacon and eggs. Like, because even vegetables have carbs. Come on now, people. Basically everything. Okay. So that's good times. It's good times. Sarcastically. Okay, so we did shots for a while. Now we're on a thing called an insulin pump, which is nice because they don't need a shot every single time. But instead they have this click, is what we call it. Every 3 days there's a click where this little cannula gets inserted under their skin, which distributes the insulin instead of a shot. But that hurts a lot, apparently. I don't know, I haven't done it to myself, but it's pretty intense. So sorry, distracted by this cute text from my husband. Focus. Diabetes, good times. Yeah. Okay, so the point is, imagine little people having to go through this. It's not fun. It's a lot of drama and it's a lot of power struggles. And I was already, the Drop the War life coach when all this came about, which I thank my lucky stars and my Heavenly Father every day that I had coaching tools to help me get through this every day, every night, and every day. And the more I tap in and try to help other moms that are going through this, the even more grateful I am for the coaching tools. And that sounds like a weird phrase, but I don't really know how better else to describe it. But let me give you for example. So I go on these Facebook support groups, right? And there's moms on there just totally freaking out, right? Like, my child just got diagnosed. This is so overwhelming. What do I do about this? Their blood sugar is at that, and they just ate this and all the things, right? And they have doctors and nurses to help them with all that drama, but they're like, I need emotional support. And so all the emotional support starts pouring in for them. So many moms that we're all going through the same thing. And we're like, oh, sweetie, I feel you. I'm so sorry. I know it's so hard. And it's beautiful and it's terrible. And it's a lot. And I just want to be a coach for all these people. Because that's what coaching is it's the emotional support, is to help you process emotions, to not resist your emotions. Yes, it's a lot. We're not in denial. We're accepting. We're realizing that like I always say, in the heat of the moment, we're just processing emotions, and then after the fact, we can go back and do some thought work. So it's a lot of both of that, you know. If you are just in the thick of it, I help you feel them through, so you're not stuffing your emotions, you're feeling them, and then we can look at a couple of your thoughts that are creating unnecessary emotion on top of all of the, I mean, it's all understandable, but we can relieve some of the suffering with some of the thought work tools. We process things through our bodies. It's a lot of all of that. Sorry about the good old crying sounds over here, but we get real and raw. It's the real deal. So anyway, we're creating diabetes awareness. So many people on these Facebook groups, they're like, I had no idea, and I have no one around. You know, because these, luckily, to the magic of the internet, you can have a support group that's all over the world, you know. And so maybe there's no one in your neighborhood, but for sure, you are not alone. And if you need support, I'm here for you. I'm a free Zoom chat away, or Facebook Messenger, Instagram. I don't check that one as much, but I'm in all the socials, you know. So reach out if you know anyone whose child has been diagnosed, especially recently. I really want to help the moms who are in the thick of the beginning stages, because I promise it does get better. It's always a lot, but it does get better. Your new normal, right? Anyway, dropthewarlifecoach.com/T1D is my specific type 1 diabetes support help stuff. And of course, any and all of my content is helpful for all the moms. But specifically with the diabetes drama, I'm very familiar with all of it, and I would love to help. So here's a little snippet of diabetes awareness for you today. And now that you've heard about it, your brain will start noticing when it's all around. So one of the signs, if you're at the playground and the kids are all playing and you see a kid with a weird contraption on the back of their arm or on their thigh or bulging on their tummy. My girls won't let me put it on their tummies yet, but someday. Anyway, that could be a diabetes equipment stuff. And feel free to tell that diabetes mom that there's lots of support for her out there, and I would love to be that support. So yeah, send them my way, and I will be back with more fun interviews, more fun me blah blah blahing about all the things parenting. And you can see why I don't really talk about diabetes that much, because it brings up all my emotions. I'm definitely still in the acuteness of all the emotion surrounding it, especially when I think about other moms in the beginning phase. It's the real deal. So yeah, just want to help. And so spread the word. I'm here to help, and I will talk to you next time. Bye. Hey friend, thanks for listening. If you want to learn more about how you can believe that you are a good mom, head over to dropthewarlifecoach.com/believe, and you get access to my free pre-recorded masterclass that will teach you all about the hands-on, exactly how to believe that you are a good mom. Start believing right now. Feel the peace, my friend. We got this. You got this. See you there.